What's up, Closer Nation? It's the middle of the afternoon, and here we are being disruptive, right? Say shout out first and foremost to my boy Max over at Startup Drugs. If you're not shopping with Startup Drugs, man, and they didn't sponsor me to say this or nothing, but dude, it's a badass. Matter of fact, it's Startup Drugs. I see pictures of my friends, like I see like the tribe, they're all coming here to Dallas right now. In airplanes from all over the place and everything else. And most of them are wearing these Startup Drugs in the pictures. You can go check my profile page right now and see that most of the people that are tagging me in their pictures are actually wearing Startup Drugs. So check out Startup Drugs, www.startupdrugs.com. Again, they don't pay me anything to do this. You can actually use the code BAMF-SD, and I've just arranged with them to give you guys a discount. Just don't wear the brand out too much, man, because we got to keep it between us. You know what I'm saying? Just between us video watchers here. So I want to share something with you guys because I'm coming off of I've had a busy ass week. You see, tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to do the Break Free Academy thing. Matter of fact, check this out. Come check this out. You know it's on when you got a floor full of. I remember there was a time, man, little sidetracked here, when I didn't even have these things, and now we have so many people coming that we have to have bags or freaking lanyards set up. We gotta have boxes of books, all this stuff, man. It's absolutely nuts how much that has grown just in a really short period of time, man, just a couple of years. So anyway, so we got all these people coming here for Break Free Academy. So I've had a busy couple of days, and by busy, you know, that's like content creation, everything else. So today alone, I've done 4 podcasts, right? And I've done a hangout for my sales team and everything else, but I've done 4 podcast interviews, and there's been some commonality in the podcast interviews. Maybe it's just me, right? And I'm in this zone today, but I wanted to share it with you. I didn't want to wait until the podcast came out. I want to share it with you up front. You know, almost every podcast that I go on, they ask me the same question over and over again, right? It's like, it's damn near every one of them. I'm pretty sure it might even be every one of them, but there's always one that maybe they didn't. But they say, like, what is it that's inside you that fuels your passion, right? Now they ask different, what is it that's your why or what is your energy? But that's what they basically want to know, like, what is it that drives me to be able to do all this? And I have a really simple answer. And many of you that are watching this right now, you're probably like, dude, I don't know why I do what I do. Like often, I had a guy message me yesterday, and he said, you know, I'm thinking about being a car salesman because that's what my dad was. Dude, that's not a why, right? Maybe his dad was a car guy. He loved cars, and his whole passion was everything cars, and that's why he sold cars. And then you don't even like cars, you like skateboards, but here you are selling cars. You can't figure out what the fuck, you ain't making any money. We'll get there in a minute, right? But the thing is, they want to know, hey, Ryan, what keeps you passionate? Because there's no secret, right? Everybody watching this should know that I've failed more times than I've succeeded. I think that's like the mark of a successful person is that they failed many times, because failure leads to experience, right? I've had bankruptcy, I've been homeless, I've been divorced, been to prison, all these like stupid ass mistakes and experiences that have made me strong, that keep me winning today because I failed in the past, right? You have to get your ass knocked out a couple of times if you want to be the champion, right? You got to learn how to take a punch. The last guy knocks you out, you got to get a little bit better so the next guy can't knock you the fuck out. For sure, when you get ready to get hit by the champion, he can't knock you out. Anyway, so I get this passion, right? And the thing that's kept me forced this whole time is because in 2010, I made a decision. I made a decision that it didn't fucking matter what other people thought about me, or what other people said, or what kind of box people tried to put me into. You see, I came from an era where I know that a lot of the sales trainers and gurus and shit, and all these people are starting to cuss now, and they're starting to, you know, talk about how they got drug problems in the past and all these things, right? Everybody's starting to tell the truth, and I'm glad. That's the disruptive thing I wanted to do in this marketplace. I got so fucking tired of people pretending like their fucking dicks were made of gold in this industry, and I wanted to fucking get them to start telling the truth. So it's nice to see that people are having to follow that trend because I'm leading it. But what I realized was in 2010, I made a decision, right? And that decision was to stop giving a fuck. And I don't mean like stop giving a fuck like I stopped caring about people, because the people that know me know I'm one of the most caring people on the planet. Despite the hardcore closer or the moniker or the attitude that you see in front of you, I actually do love people. That's why I get so fired up about it. But so I made a decision to not give a fuck about people that didn't matter. And you see, I understand, because I've been on this journey my whole life. I've thought, you know, I've asked God, I've said, God, man, you know what? I made all this money last year and I did so good in the corporate world. Why are you sending me to prison? I haven't hurt anybody. I don't have a drug addiction. I've gotten past all that. I'm going to church. Why do you send me to prison? I've asked why. I've explored this life, man. I've asked the questions because I'm like, why me? But realized it wasn't about me, right? Realized it was trial closes for me to get stronger. That way I can emerge and tell the stories that I tell today with full confidence so that you can believe me, you can look it up, see that it's not full of shit, and I don't have to be scary about the whole situation. But in 2010, when I made that decision, I went on this journey. And this journey of discovery, like, okay, if I don't give a fuck about other people, how do I know if they're right or wrong? I mean, think about that, right? What if I was stopping giving a fuck about the wrong people, the right people, and then I'm doing the wrong shit, and I'm giving a fuck about the wrong things? Like, how do I figure out what to exclude from my life and what to get focused on? And I went on this journey, right? And I realized that, hey, I'm doing more drugs than I had done before at the time, right? And drugs, I don't do like cocaine and meth or any shit like that. I'm talking about drinking more, right? I went through a period of my life where I took Xanax, hydrocodone and shit like most people do, right? And we're trying to hide from what I call the voice. But in all my years of searching for this, it's 6 years now that I've been searching for, like, what in the hell is the internal motivation? What is my purpose? Who should I listen to? Who should I stop giving a fuck about? I can tell you that it's been my experience that we have been coded by some sort of, like, hear me, I'm gonna get all hokey on you and shit like this, right? But we have been coded by some sort of divine being, whether you want to call it the universe or God or Yahweh or Allah or whatever, right? The devil, whatever. We have been coded. We were put here on earth with a DNA genetic code. See, not too long ago, they mapped the human genome. They decided that every strand of DNA was different. We went from fingerprint test to DNA test, right? It changed the game. That's the single biggest discovery of mankind in history, is the fact that we realized and mapped the human genome. And we realized that each person is mapped out and has a different DNA strand. And there are no two identical DNA strands nowhere. They have not found them. They do not exist. And it means that there is billions upon billions of different combinations. And here's my belief. I believe that you were created not through your mother and father. That was the vessel through which you were created. But when you were created by the universe or a being or God or whatever it is that you want to call it, you were giving a specific DNA sequence code for what you're supposed to live out on this planet. And the reason why most people fail is because they go against that operating code. You see, the divine people gave your parents a combination of things that equals a divine operating code that has a divine assignment on your time on this planet. You were put here for a reason and given a sequence to take out action to reach that reason and make that reason come true. Yet so many people spend their entire lives drinking it away. The DNA cyst in the back of your head, it's that voice, and that voice says, Ryan, you're supposed to make videos. You're supposed to be able to coach people. You're going to make them think you're a sales trainer, but the truth is you're going to be a life changer behind the scenes. And I drank and I drank and I thought, no, it's not me. I'm supposed to be a mortgage guy. I'm supposed to sell cars. I'm supposed to work in the title business. And I did everything that I could to silence it, but the voice doesn't shut up. And most people, they'll try to silence that voice so much to the point that they'll do drugs to where they overdose. The voice in the back of their head is telling them, the voice in the back of their head saying, you're supposed to do this, but yet they spend their entire life trying to do something else. The voice in the back of their head saying, you're supposed to be a rock star, but yet they spend their entire life in the fucking accounting department, right? It makes absolutely no sense. We're put here with the divine assignment on our lives, but here's what happens. We get around our parents, we get around our friends, the people we went to school with, our associates, our coworkers, and if you start listening to the voice in your head, then that gives them no more excuses, and they know that they have to listen to the voice in the back of their head or admit that they're a failure. So what do? They crabs in a bucket your ass, right? They try to pull you back down to their level. Don't be an entrepreneur. Don't go be commission only. Don't go start your own thing. You're not meant to be a revolutionary. You're not meant to be a thought leader. You're not supposed to be a disruptor. You're just supposed to be a car salesman just like the rest of us. You're just supposed to be another mortgage guy just like the rest of us. And then you start doubting yourself. But in 2010, I decided to stop it. I said, you know what? I've had all these ups and downs in my life. It's fucking time that I start listening to the voice in the back of my head and listening to myself only and stop doubting myself and stop listening to these do-nothing motherfuckers that ain't ever done anything outside of what they're doing right now, and let me lead a revolution and let me try something different. And I may not be the fucking best in the world at this yet, but I'm fucking coming for it because I'm listening to the voice, and that's where the passion comes from. You see, what happened was all of a sudden sudden I'm tapped into that DNA code that the universe gave me, and I'm doing what it tells me, and I'm living congruent with what I was put here to do on a mission, and that gives me more fuel, which allows me to burn through so much more, which allows me to propel so much faster. And that's the point. Ladies and gentlemen, not everybody's meant to be a speaker like me. Some of you are really good with numbers and you're trying to sell some shit. Some of you are really good with words and you're trying to use numbers. Some of you are supposed to be Macs and you're spending your whole life dressed up trying to use the operating system of a PC. You've got to listen to the voice in the back of your head. And here's the thing, here's the cool part. When you start listening to that voice in the back of your head and you get in line with what you're supposed to do and what you were put here on this earth for, you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. And I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying, hey, I'm probably going to go have a couple drinks with friends tonight. But you don't need it. You don't have to rely on it. It doesn't take alcohol to make you go to sleep at night. It doesn't take drugs to make you go to sleep tonight. It doesn't take drugs to give you the motivation to wake up in the morning. You don't need any of that because life is fulfilling you and you have the energy and you're getting the nutrients to your brain and through your body that you need because you're doing what you're supposed to. So many of us spend our entire lives doing what we're not supposed to, and then we wind up in situations we don't want to be in. The voice in the back of our heads is saying, hey man, you're supposed to be a rock star. And we're going, leave me alone, I'm trying to be a plumber. Right? Then we can't figure out why we can't sleep at night. We won't even go sing at one audition. But we spend the whole rest of our lives bitching about how things ain't right and how the man sticks it to us and how it's not fair and it's sexist, religious, racist, everything else. We have all these excuses when all it is you were given a divine assignment on your life. It's up to you to take that assignment. Just like in school, they give you an assignment, but if you don't do it, you fail. It's the same thing. You were given a divine assignment coded deep into the DNA of your skin and your body, and you get to make the decision on whether you say, that assignment's for me, it will be completed tomorrow, or you decide that you're going to run from school and run from your problems and do everything you can to ignore things and silence things. You can't figure out why your relationships ain't right because you're fake over here. You can't figure out why your work ain't right because you're fake over here. You can't figure out why life is treating you wrong because you're not in line. Life's trying to slap you into doing what the fuck life has put you on this planet to do. We have a mission to carry out. And the reason why the world, there's an imbalance and we're at war and everything else is because people are doing something other than what the fuck they're supposed to do. Whoever created this has got to be up there laughing like a motherfucker going, man, I give these people the fucking ability to do everything, and instead they're fucking pissed off over Trump and Clinton, right? I give these people the ability to have perfect harmony. We're at the safest time ever. Think about it. You push a button on your phone, an Uber driver shows up. You push a button on your phone, you can stay at a random person's house for Airbnb. People, dude, if their kids were being kidnapped and people were being stolen and beaten and raped, it would be all over the news, but it's not. It's not, because it's not happening like we think it is. But the problem is there's so many people here doing what they're not supposed to do that it's thrown the world off the imbalance. We're over here focused on shit that doesn't matter. We're over here trying to do things that don't matter. We're over here focused on doing dumb shit when the universe has given us the code, the DNA sequence, that if we'll just all follow it. Sure, at first it might be a little bit hard, right? When I first started following my DNA sequence, people said, oh, you shouldn't cuss. You shouldn't be yourself. You need to fit back. Let me squeeze you back into this box over here. Right? 2 years past the hardship, guess what? I've been a disruptor, and I've changed the way that the industry operates. I've changed the way that sales trainers present themselves and act, and the way that the internet marketers present themselves and act. Because if you go back on 99% of people's pages a few years ago, they weren't the way that they are now. Guess who's still the same? Because I stick to the code, the DNA code that the universe gave me on this planet. So next time you hear that voice in the back of your head, right? The next time you get the calling, instead of trying to silence it, grabbing something to drink, going out, whatever it is that you're into, gambling, sex, whatever it is that you're into. And I'm not saying don't do any of that stuff. I'm not Judgy McJudgerson over here, right? I am pro gamble, drugs, sex. I'm pro all that shit. I want you to have some fun, but I don't want you to need it, right? I don't want you to need it because you're not where you're supposed to be in life to where that's what you need to get out of bed on Monday morning. I want it to be like what you want on Friday night so you can have some fun if that's what you desire after a long week of hard work. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This weekend, things coming up over the next few days in the weekend, I need you to think real deeply about what it is that you're calling on life and when you're going to man the fuck up and follow it. Because things ain't going to get in line. Things ain't going to get any better. Things aren't ever going to be the level that you want them to be, unless you start heeding the call that was put here, unless you start abiding by the operating system that was given to you. So, I think that's it, man. That was my sermon. Y'all dig that shit? If you dug it, share it, right? We need to get this Listen, if we get more people following this mindset, more people buying into what I just told you guys, man, imagine that, even if it's just a small percentage, imagine the change that we could spark in the world. The ripple effect, the butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it, that's some real shit. So listen to the voice this weekend, heed it, take the assignment, and complete it. Later.